Andrew, now in this universe, there are worlds of matter, antimatter, photons, rays, energies, particles, and more. Which part of this domain do you exist in, or is it beyond our comprehension? Tom, it is beyond your comprehension. We come from the zone that is cold. This is perfection. Andrew, you know, on Earth we are just beginning to understand, very feebly, the zone of cold or superconductivity, and we know that there is no resistance there, no friction. In other words, in our simple notion, it is the area of perpetual motion. Is that not essentially true? Tom, this is true and this is perfection. We are in the center. And we do not wish to sound as if we are perfect or as if we are egotistical, but on either side of us there is the positive and there is the negative. And when I say this, I mean there is the positive that is not balanced, and there is the negative that is not balanced. We are in the center, and we are balanced. We are trying to bring those other forces into balance. We have never been out of balance. It is other things in the universe that are not in balance. We exist at the pivotal point of the universe. There is a balance. Within each of you there is all of the positive and all of the negative of the universe. Do you understand? Andrew, no, I don't, because you told us once that you were neither on the good nor bad side, you were the pivot in between. Tom, yes. But do you understand that you are the balance of this? John, we have all of the good and all of the bad. Tom, that's why you are the balance. And why we are the balance. You understand matter and antimatter. Andrew, we never have in our world any fusion of matter and antimatter. You are telling us something quite foreign. Matter and antimatter exist independently. If they get together, there is a gigantic explosion. Tom, what is Armageddon? Andrew, I don't know. Just a word in the Bible. Tom, is it not a giant explosion? Andrew, that's not matter and antimatter, is it? Tom, I am making an analogy. How may we explain? Andrew, I don't know, it's very difficult because the Earth concept does not fit the one that you are trying to explain. Tom, we will begin at the beginning. In each of you, as in each of us, there is completeness. Completeness is a perfect harmony and balance between what you call good and evil. This is what keeps us in the pivotal point. This is why we are the pivot, because we are in balance. When we are together, we are one and we are the pivot. Assume that we live in a world of matter. It is not true, but imagine that. Now the Council of Nine is in the center. And on our right would be the world of matter, and on our left the world of antimatter. You understand this? If the two came together, we would have an explosion. Andrew, but the reason I have difficulty is that you said we are a composite of both sides of polarity, so how could there be another side when we are a composite already? Tom, you have not understood what we have said. Andrew, if you're a composite, you don't have two sides, see? If you have black and white, you can have two sides, but black and white is not a composite, gray is the composite. I'm having difficulty. Tom, you are explaining in your world, we are explaining in ours. Shall we say, in essence? Andrew, in essence, okay. That makes it easier to deal with, if it's the essence rather than the actual substance, whatever that may be. Tom, it is the essence. Andrew, all right. Tom, there is balance within all. What causes the great dissension is a similar situation to putting together matter and antimatter. They cannot mingle, they cannot mix in harmony, they cannot blend, they become destructive to each other. Here again, Andrew has another exchange with Tom on duality, and Tom takes several attempts to clarify the picture for him. Andrew, we do have difficulty understanding what is negative and what is positive, in respect of what is called good and bad on the human level. Tom, it is difficult in your physical world for you to truly understand the importance of both. I will try to explain in a manner in which you may understand. It would be similar to a giant scale. We are in the pivot of this giant scale. Visualize the universe with the pivot being us. On one side of the universe, visualize that all is negative, and all on the other side is positive. And as you see this, you know that there is a complete out of balance situation. It is difficult for us to explain this so that you may understand. Within each of the sides there are many. I will explain it in earthly terms, as each of the galaxies and solar systems within the galaxies. First I must clarify, the universe, with the 9 in the center, has 4 sides, the side opposite that in which you exist and the other 2 are all in balance. Do you understand? Andrew, yes, I'm following. Tom, it is in perfect balance. On this side we will now place your solar systems within your galaxies and the galaxies. If you would take a stone for each of these galaxies, if they were in perfect weight and perfect proportion to the rest of the three sides, then this would be also in balance. But if one of those stones were of a porous substance, and if you placed it in oil, and it absorbed the oil, and became weighted with the oil, then in turn it would upset the balance and pull the balance and the scale out of calibration, and would upset the other side of the universe. Your planet is accomplishing that. The negative is the heavy oil. Remember, the other sides are balanced, but this imbalance can in turn topple the rest. That is not correct. In actuality, there is no good and there is no bad. It is only when one of them becomes sour or rotten that it then contaminates the rest, be it good or bad. Because of the ignorance of the peoples of planet Earth, and because their religious leaders have taught ignorance, your negative forces, which do not truly appear as you see them, manifest in that way in order to instill fear. But what is truly negative, listen carefully, what has created the upset, besides the desires and the greed, is the complete denial and misinterpretation of the existence of ultimate reality. Your overpopulation is because of the trapping of spirits, because of reincarnation. So the Earth people, the souls and spirits that surround your Earth need to release themselves of greed and desire, because that is the trap. Your religious leaders do not understand this and do not teach the people. Remember that in you is a seed of purity and beauty, and that if you do not maintain a balance, ugliness or an ugly part may appear. But remember forgiveness. We hold no animosity within us, and you should not do so either. Even though you exist upon a physical planet and the densest of all the planets in the universe, remember that all souls may be saved. The only thing of which we are unforgiving is in the denunciation of God. Andrew, yes, I understand. I think at times there have been occasions we have been guilty of that attitude. Tom, this is a truth. But remember to forgive when there is true acknowledgement. May we say to you, to voice what you feel is one thing, but it is the act that is important. There are many actors upon the world stage that play a different part than what they feel. It is when they begin to feel they are that part, not themselves, that it makes a big difference. They may say they love God, and they may say that they have understanding, but if they do not act in that way, then that is a graver problem, because it is not done in ignorance. It is the same as when you give to another because you believe it obligates the other to give back, then what you give is not gold, it is black and putrid. We wish you also to know that we do not have the need to be worshipped. Our need from you is to be loved. Do you know who is God? Andrew, I know who is God in the abstract sense. Tom, do you know truly who is God? Andrew, not truly, no. Tom, are you prepared to know who God is? Andrew, I would be prepared, yes. I do not know what that means in terms of consequences, but yes, I would be prepared. Tom, love is God. And it is love that creates the energy which feeds God, and makes God. In your world there are religious groups that say that God is within. And this is true because there is a portion of divinity within each individual. But what we have told you is not the same. Andrew, it took me a long time to square up with this, the notion that the 9 collectively are God, and that we all collectively are God. Tom, remember that as God we all carry a heavy burden but also we carry joy. Andrew, well, being in the center, can you go on further to indicate how we stand between the negative and the positive? Tom, remember this, that the position that you have chosen in your physical world is limited. But remember who you are. Never lose sight of who you are. And remember that in God all things are possible and will be done. The problem is the limits of the physical mind and understanding. And also remember that as God, in order to maintain the balance in your physical world, you must at times be detached. Gently you must detach. Because the work that conscious people on earth have to do does not involve 1 or 2 individuals or the multiplication of those individuals. The work you humans have to do involves the universe. And remember, God never fails. In your physical world, you as God are being tested. Not that God can be tested, but your physical limitations to yourselves as God are being tested. And though we know that this may sound a contradiction to you, in being God and having a problem in the physical world, you must come to understand these problems of the physical world. There are some of us who have never had this problem, and it's difficult for those of us that have not had it to understand. God is all-knowing and is all-seeing, but there are parts of God, as there are parts of every atom. The whole together makes one, but not all parts experience the same. Do you understand this? Andrew, okay. We are beginning to get questions about the nine. Not only do people ask who are they, but also are they good or evil? This is a problematic question to answer. Tom, you are aware that difficulties have arisen because of the religions that have been perpetrated upon the peoples of earth. So may we say to you, when people ask are they good or are they evil? You know who you are and you know who we are, so you can happily, without doubt, say that the nine are good and they wish to help. And if there are those that say but we have seen evil beings, then we would ask you to ask them to look within themselves. To see what you call evil does not mean that you must be evil to perceive it, but this is a way of helping those who believe in evil to look within themselves, to help themselves. Have we talked in riddles? In 1991, another guest asked Tom the following question. Guest, what is the relationship of the nine to God and to the devil? Tom, you cannot use that terminology of God and the opposite in the same sentence, for there is not of any equal to what you call God. For what you call God is the all-knowing, the total creation, all that is. That you call by the name that you have used, we speak of as the opposition. You cannot equate that together. You ask us what is our relationship. We tell you now, we are not God. We have no relationship to the opposition. We are the council of nine that are in service to the Creator. The Creator is not destructive. The opposition is destructive. And before that transmission in the 70s, Andrew had this conversation. Andrew, what do you say to those people who tend to think in terms of absolute good and evil, who use figures like Ahriman and Satan, and so on? Tom, ask them to look within themselves, and to understand that within each physical being there are all the elements of good and all the elements of what they call evil. We do not like that word evil. Andrew, I don't either. It has the wrong connotation. But you know, many people are very pious. Tom, they are not in truth pious, for they do not understand truth. They are in truth fanatics, they have doubt. Andrew, yes, and they are the most difficult ones to ask to look into themselves. Some of our most pious friends have become very anti the nine's basic teachings. Tom, walk gently away from those, and the truth will come eventually. It is important that you do not start, may we say, pounding at them, but say you have your belief and I have mine. Andrew, yes, I think we've all learned that lesson. Tom, you must be of great gentleness, but firm, do you understand? Keep to the purity within you, and know who you are, and do not contaminate your purity with other influences that will try to weaken you. Andrew, we have many physical and human weaknesses. Tom, not as many as you wish to believe. Andrew, but is doubt one of the prominent things? Tom, yes it is. It is as prominent as fear. Andrew, for myself, I do not really know fear, that is almost foreign to me. Tom, but you have doubt. Andrew, I have doubt. Tom, and that is the same. Andrew, I have skepticism. But I am learning. We have been reviewing our communications with you, and we are quite astounded at how much we have grown, and are kind of embarrassed to hear some of the things we said earlier. So I think to some extent we feel that we have made some progress in growing. Tom, remember we have grown with you, because when you grow we also grow. Andrew, that surprises me. Growth potential still exists at the level of the nine. Tom, yes. Because you are in the physical, and we are communicating directly with you, we are growing and coming to understand the physical, and that is important. We are not of the physical, and yet the paradox is that we are ahead of all that is physical. So do you understand how we grow with you? Andrew, that's a difficult one, do you mean ahead in time? I don't quite understand that idea. Tom, what has happened with us is that we have learned through you because we have attached to you, and we are now living your emotion and we are beginning to understand. The council has said I should use the word beyond and not the word ahead. Andrew, I didn't realize that you were getting a refresher course in Earth experience. Tom, it is not just Earth, it is physical, do you understand? Andrew, I only know Earth physical, I don't know the physical throughout the universe. Tom, the Earth is the densest of all physical. And so what better place can we learn? John, one thing about doubt. I feel that blind faith is also a dangerous thing, and the fine line between the two must be found. Tom, we never ask you for blind faith. Has there been a time in your entire existence upon Earth when suddenly you came upon something that made you become paralyzed with fear? Andrew, I think when I was a child I had a fear of snakes, but I overcame that. Tom, but you had that. Do you recall the moment? Andrew, oh yes, I recall the moment when suddenly there was a rattler in front of me, and I just froze in fear, not knowing what to do. Tom, that is something that we are beginning now to understand, but that is also the same as a doubt. Andrew, I see, that's very instructive. Tom, but we do not ask you to follow in blind faith. You must at all times ask for clarification. You must never simply accept.